From Ontario, Canada comes hip-hop producer and beatmaker IMPERETIV. Fresh off the release of his new project Soliloquy of a Sociopath with Dante, which includes the visually powerful chemistry class, giving a nod to Breaking Bad with a cinematic production and sharp underground aesthetics. Known for his deep catalog, IMPERETIV has released projects such as Shamrocks and Machine Guns, and Burial Plots and Pyramid Schemes with Jay Roberts, Rome Was Built in a Day with Joe Sig, and New Levels, New Devils with Super Caliente. In addition to his collaborative work, he's also known for his series Instrumentals Issues 1 through 5. IMPERETIV is an award-winning producer, hoping to lead the next wave of Canadian hip-hop. Tune in to learn about his journey in music, the making of Soliloquy of a Sociopath with Dante, and what he's got coming next on the Cristopolis Show number 276. From Ontario, Canada, comes hip-hop producer and beatmaker IMPERETIV. Peace, peace, my brother.
Peace, homie. How you doing?
I'm so good. My bro, want to talk to you about, pick your brain about so many things, right? Like, you're known to the world as a producer, making moves, work with many, many dope MCs, but you're also like a really dope business strategist, approaching things in different ways, hacking the algorithm, really on the cutting edge and using innovative approaches to this thing of ours, right? This hip hop
Yeah.
thing and the current state of music. Soliloquy of a Sociopath, new project out with Dante, really dope project. Talk to us about the project, but then also talk to us about the approach and the rollout, which is innovative.
Definitely. I mean, first off, man, I appreciate you having me on your platform. I've been following you for a minute. We're at episode 276. I think you say you have the largest archive of interviews. So salute to you, man. You're really building. I really appreciate you and being here to talk about this. Soliloquy of a Sociopath is my project with Dante, DNTE, out of Toronto. Dante and I were familiar with each other in the scene. I'm out in London, Ontario. So I'm like 2.5 hours from Toronto, going for shows and different things like that. And I think we saw each other at the Rock Marciano show. And he's like, yo, we got to get something going. Months go by, time goes by. Then we run into each other in the wintertime at Jay Skeese in Toronto. And he's like, yo, we got to get something going. And at that point, I was like, all right, yo, it's go time. Let's make this happen. So sent him a bunch of beats. He sent some things back. I could tell that there was a vibe forming. There was a sound that he was definitely gravitating towards. So I just started sending stuff in that vibe. And so that's usually how I like to create with artists is, pick some beats, like let's start with one. Let's get one, and then just start evolving it from there. Then you start to get a picture, an idea of what the sound is going to sound like. From there, you can start getting a feeling and the emotion and the title and things like that. So we knocked this out very quickly. I'd send him a beat, and there'd be a track back, and that's partly why we decided to release this the way we did, is because we got it done so quickly. It was like, okay, we're ahead of the game. Let's step back. Let's not rush this out. Let's do this properly. I'd been sitting on this, this way of releasing in a different way, which I'm going to touch on more. I work with a gentleman. His name's Kyle Kraft. He's my co-host on the podcast, Rap Career Growth.
Right, because you got a whole other thing that I want to make sure that we plug and give it its proper moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, multiple different things. But Kyle Kraft is, thank you, and much love to Kyle Kraft. I met Kyle in 2019. I did a business development sort of accelerator program with him. I paid him as a business consultant, and then he, with that relationship, it's just continue on if I needed help. Then I started doing a Facebook group called Rap Career Growth. He started getting involved. He's like, yo, let's do a podcast. So that evolved. Now it's called the Crafty Entertainment Income Maximization Strategy. And he's used it with other artists. And for me, it was tough because being a beat maker and producer, majority of my projects are with other artists.
Yeah.
So it's not just about me being like, all right, let's do this. I'm on someone else's time as well. So with this project with Dante, we got it done so quickly. We were able to step back and be like, let's do this the right way. If we release it to streaming these days, and you've released albums too yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, you release this on streaming, it goes out into the abyss, and you don't make a whole lot of money back from it. Like I've made albums, you know, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars if like,
Wow.
into this music, and it's not sustainable. And for a lot of
Yeah.
artists, you go that deep, you're just like, I'm done. I'm not seeing any return. Now I do this for the love. So I mean, I'm gonna this is like
Yeah.
a lot. Some people have some bad vices. This is my vice. Is
This is a
music. You
bad
know,
vice.
it's
There's
like the
cheaper
best.
vices. There's some
Yeah,
vices that are cheaper.
definitely. I mean, it's the best $200 you'll 500 that you'll spend 10,000 of. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we just got ahead of the game. So you know, Dante was following my lead on this on the strategy. Now with the title, he hit me up. I think the original was Night on Beat Street, kind of like a Freddy Krueger like
Yeah.
sort of play. And I was like, yeah, let's sit on that. And then he hit me. He's like, yo, I want to call it Sociopath. I was like, that's dope. And then right away, my head was like, let's call it Soliloquy of a Sociopath. Soliloquy with the alliteration
Yeah.
ties in, and then I could just have more of a visualization with that myself.
Yeah.
That's my approach to music, and he was down with it. So it was very much a collaboration from start to finish, and still is. So the way we've released it is available exclusively on imperative.com. So IMPERETIV.com. It's run as a pre-order campaign. There's 13 structured tiers. So if you want to get the album now, you want to hear it right away, you can purchase that. The digital album comes with the explicit, the clean, the instrumentals, the acapellas. And this will come into a second phase later also. Then you can get a signed CD. You can get your name in the credits. Then you can get a video call with Dante and I. So it's built around experiences. We have tiers from $20 all the way up to $5,000, and it's just a way of bringing the audience and the listeners to be a part of it and to have an experience and just create something different.
Yeah. Did you build this out, or are you using I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the site. There's a site that people have subscriptions that they do that with.
I built this out on Shopify, and like I said, it's very much based off of Kyle Craft's crafty income maximization strategy. He just ran something similar with Snack the Ripper. Snack the Ripper is a rapper out of Vancouver, BC. So he ran something similar with him, had some great success. You know, Kyle did that campaign specifically. I'm getting like the information from Kyle and
That's
implementing it
dope. Yeah.
myself. But I'm a very hands-on person, and I like doing things myself. I can figure things out myself. There's probably a little bit more I could have done to
Yeah.
be like prepared, but it was one of those moments where it's like, we got to release this, and like we could tinker with it for months and days, but it's never gonna be
Yeah.
perfect.
You
Sometimes you
gotta
just gotta
ship.
jump in.
Yeah, you gotta ship and do the lessons learned, right? And run it back on the next one. What worked? Sometimes the thing that you think's not that important was like the number one thing that people loved, and then the thing that you thought was the thing wasn't the thing, right? So
Exactly. So yeah, it's a live and learn, trial by error, and just see what works and kind of go from there and build from there. And yeah, I mean, we're still in it. Phase two, well, like kind of like of phase one, my second phase was the marketing, and which is why I reached out to you, and I've reached out to other individuals to review the project. We don't want people necessarily to hear the project. We want you to go get it exclusively on imperative.com. But we want people to start being like, oh, okay, this is dope. Like, yo, you should check this out. We just did a small review with Sam Buck and Thousand Words on their platform. And even they were like, I don't think they had ever had someone be like, yo, review my
don't
album,
play
but
it,
only play
right? Don't
30
play it.
seconds.
Like
And so they're like, yo, I got to shut it
30
off.
second sizzle, not even like
Yeah,
20 second.
exactly. So we just want people to get a taste. We know it's a dope project. It's a very dope art piece. We leaned heavy into Soliloquy of a Sociopath. So like when I ran into Dante at Jay Ski's, he was rocking a black fur. And so like for Soliloquy of a Sociopath, Soliloquy is like in the theater where it's like a monologue essentially, right? So like I pictured like Dante with the black fur holding the skull like Hamlet and that. But we kind of took that, and we have a song called Hamlet. The intro song is called The Opening Scene, and we just really leaned into that imagery and that theme, and it built a very dope and artistic album.
Yeah. One of the things, just jumping around a little bit, one of the things I always loved, that the RZA and the Wu-Tang did was when they released the album that they just made one copy, right?
Right.
That the pharmaceutical guy wound up buying, and it's like it's this still to this day like a mysterious thing that they did, but they
Well,
wound up
and they,
making.
they brought that into the modern day too, right? Because they did that one record that they sold for like to like that pharmacist. Is that what you're talking about?
That's
The
what I'm
one
talking
record
about.
for the same one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that whole thing. So
yeah.
that was like a decade ago at this point, or maybe more. But this whole approach to creating like scarcity in a world of abundance,
Hmm.
right? So we're currently in a world right now where there's limitless movies on your TV, limitless music on Spotify, limitless information on the internet or, ChatGPT. So when you introduce scarcity, it's desirable.
It's 100% it, man. And I mean, I'm glad you referenced that Wu Tang album. I have a book by the gentleman that kind of came up with that idea for RZA. And there's some it's a great book, and there's some like I think I went through it once, and I went through it a second time, and I actually highlight like yellow
Yeah.
highlighter key parts in there, and they talk about it, and there's other elements of that I want to put into other projects and things like that. There's a lot to learn from that. Um,
Yeah.
it becomes a myth too. Like there was a part where they actually, I believe, whoever bought it, like it was then going to tour around to museums,
Yeah, yeah.
so people could
There've
go
been
in
all
and
these ideas.
listen,
This album was released. If the album would have come out, or would have come out, if it was lucky, it would have had a summer. Because it's not like
right?
it used to be. Even for the
No,
Wu, like Snoop and Dre released an album, and it came and went, and it was a dope album. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it would have been hot, but we're still talking about it today, and we haven't
definitely.
heard it.
It's creating the myth, right, and the idea of it, and yeah, I love that idea and that concept. Um, I have one concept for an album. I don't want to say it because I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
someone
yeah.
will
No,
take
no.
it, but it's
Only,
based off
yeah,
that.
and
So
I really appreciate the mystique and the build up and then the momentum of things. It's part of the sauce. It's part of the art. Just the way that like a track, how you like organize the way the songs are gonna come or the interludes. You're really great at this, right? The way you put like little interludes or little pieces of things, that kind of Pete Rock thing. It's
yeah,
really dope. All of these things are things that are different from the beats and rhymes. There are other aspects of the art. In the rollout and the strategy and all of that is part of it. So only what only what you want to share, and I'm a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like I love all of
yeah.
this, and I love that you're
Well, I
doing
mean,
something
that
different.
a lot of that is an ode to those who came before. Like there's a painting of Yeezy behind me. So that's a huge inspiration to me.
Yeah,
You mentioned Pete Rock, but like actually crafting an album start to finish, I love that. And like, I've listened to some modern albums where it just sounds like a bunch of tracks that are just thrown on an album.
yeah,
There's not a proper start, there's not a proper finish. Like I approach it like a novel, right? Like you got your intro, your rising action to the climax to the outro and conclusion, right? And I shape an album like that. I want to tell a story. I want to someone to be lying on the floor listening to a vinyl record high on acid,
yeah,
smoking weed, right, and just like taking in the whole story. So
yeah,
that's always my goal. It doesn't work for every album, but when artists talk to me as a producer, and then if they've listened to my catalog, I think they get that, and I think that's what they want to like when they work with me. They want to get that sort of same output.
yeah,
Also Alchemist, he's great at having those skits. Something from Alchemist and other artists do it too, but it's like the gapless playback. Like I want it to be seamless, like where it's like the song is ending, there's some weird sounds and it blends into the intro and takes off, and you're like, where did that finish and where did that
yeah,
start? Right? It's just I would want it to be like one listening session all the way through, and it's just you feel like you were immersed in a whole different world.
yeah. I want to talk about other aspects of what you've done, but I want to make sure that we cover uh the current project that you're pushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Soliloquy of a Sociopath. What can you share with us about how you're rolling it out? Will it ever come to streaming, or do you have to come get it at imperative.com? Will there be physicals? Will there be like a release event? Is some of it kind of like, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Is it kind of like still building up? Whatever you could
Yeah.
share with us so that we make sure that we give that album its proper moment right now.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, it's definitely going to come out. I mean, it is out technically now.
Right, right.
But there's two phases. The first pre-order campaign that's available right now is a 3-month campaign. I just finished work. My brain's a little fried, so I'm not going to do the math on when that is. But I think we just launched at the start of April. So 3 months,
Yeah.
April, May, so end
April,
of
May,
June.
June, right? Like
Yeah,
in July
so right there.
1st.
Yeah. So that's going to give people enough time to get in there because we have, like I said, you can get your name in the credits. You can get your name on a shout out. So we're going to re-record the outro and we'll be like, yo, shout out so-and-so, shout out. So you can be a part of the project and that
That's
will go on the
dope.
physical CD. So phase one is kind of all about the physical CD, which is still, people like collect it. I have some CDs down here. My record collection's right behind me. I still collect CDs.
Yeah.
So phase one is all about the CD. We are going to do a phase two, which will then roll out the vinyl. This is a project that definitely deserves vinyl. I've done very well with vinyl, barrel plots and pyramid schemes, full circle, and my under the scope 7-inch. So this project will come out on vinyl, but that's the phase two. Phase two, we're also going to do a remix contest. So you're hearing it here first. So that's why when you buy the digital copy, you're getting the acapellas, you're getting the instrumentals because it's setting you up for that contest. So if producers or rappers want to remix it, they have to buy the album, which supports. And then, we're going to have a dope prize and things like that to go with that. But yeah, phase one and phase two. And then we'll give it some time, let it marinate, let people that have the vinyl, that have the CD, enjoy that, have it first before everyone else.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it on streaming.
Got it. Yeah, I think that we're in a really interesting moment in time because streaming's been around for a little bit now. Like it's not brand new, even though it kind of still feels new. But they're not paying artists. Artists aren't really earning off of it. And then there's weird stuff happening with nobody reads all the, agreement disclosure stuff. You want to kind of listen to music, you just click yes. Or if it's DistroKid, whatever it is, if you're the artist, if you're the consumer, it's one thing, if you're the artist, it's another. But there's new things that are working their way in. That's language that's basically like if you upload it, we can use your voice. We can do remixes. You mentioned Kanye West. One of the dopest things he ever did was do you remember when he released like a player? You could only get the album on a player.
Yeah,
And
that was
then
recent.
I didn't get the player, but I just know this from like reading blogs and stuff. Like the player had a function where you could like drop out tracks. So you could like, drop out the drums, like cool producer stuff or like DJ stuff. Right? Really dope thing that he's always so super innovative. But they're kind of moving into that territory. But now with AI, you could take Eminem's voice and do the 1950s, jazz, big beat.
I mean, it's cool in its own way. But yeah, like you're saying, like artists, we can be uploading our product. There's that whole thing that went around with Timbaland. He was doing a live stream where people could send in their music. And then he was taking their music and putting it and training this AI model.
And Timbaland's a savage, right? It's like you don't need to do that. You actually are the guy who's got the talent, but he's also on the cutting edge of AI, and that's where the ethics and what's allowed, what isn't. It's moving faster than law, right? Yeah. So like, there's no actual laws to there's a lot of gray area as to what protects people and doesn't. Yeah, it's the wild, wild west right. It's like crypto. It's what crypto was back in, like 2018, right?
Right.
It's still kind of that, but it was really that back then. That's what it is right now.
And I mean, on the crypto thing, there is still a model out there, which is like a fine-tuned version of this direct-to-consumer on the blockchain, right? Because crypto operates on the blockchain. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's all similar. But NFTs kind of ruined it. But there's a great TED Talk out there, and it talks about how the blockchain, when you sell it, it would allow royalties to continue coming in. What I thought was really cool about NFTs is in hip hop right now, there's a lot of these limited edition vinyls, right? They got numbered, it's signed. Yeah. Well, if you did a hybrid NFT, if I sold vinyl to you, you're now the owner, right? Like I have a Vince Carter basketball signed, right? And it comes with a little like proof of authenticity. Yeah. Well, if you get an NFT, a hybrid NFT of a vinyl, that would have been your proof of authenticity. But then you can track where it's being sold, which would help with the appreciation, proper ownership, and things like that. I thought that blockchain, My guy Chain Gang down there, dropping the chain in there. He's loving
He got
that.
the blockchain. He got the blockchain
Yeah,
emoji. That's really.
exactly.
I haven't seen that before. That's super creative.
But yeah,
Blockchain.
there was a lot
Word.
of artists that were doing that. And then you were talking like Kanye dropped the player. There was another band. It was a rock band, but the 80s, the fish that was on the wall, and you would press it and
Yeah,
it would
yeah, yeah.
sing.
They would kind of move.
Yeah, so they uploaded their album to that. So you could buy the singing fish and have their album on that, and the fish would be like flapping and singing. And there was a couple other 80s toys like that they synced up. So like you said, we're in this unique era where do something different. Anyone
Yeah.
can drop their music on streaming. What is separating you from every other artist out there? It goes down to your live performance. Any rapper can get up there, walk back and forth on the stage. What's setting you apart from everyone else?
Yeah.
You just gotta really dig deep, and there's you want to do what's done in a way, but you got to take it a step further. You got to add your stamp to it, and just think in your head, like, what can I do different that people are gonna be like, with Drake did the ice thing. I have some issues with that. It was in a way corny in some ways, some aspects, because then they end up wasting all this water, melting the damn thing. And then I think it was set up anyways. But people are talking about it. It's online. It's something different.
Yeah.
When Kanye dropped Yeezy, I think it was, and my guy's gonna love this in the comments here too. But it was like 6 continents, 6 countries, 6 cities, and he projected. I think it was the song "New Slaves," the video against like a building, and it just like all of a sudden just started one night, and it was just playing. I love ideas like that. I love Easter eggs. That's something I would like to implement more into. You really have to have an in-tune fan base and audience to really do like. Have you ever seen the TV show Mr. Robot?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
So it's about computers, and this guy's a hacker, right? So they lean into that, and like there'll be a part where you hear this weird audio, but if you download that audio and you put it through this like processor, then it makes an image and it gives you hints for the next episode, or every phone number in the episode would work. You could call it and it would give you a hint. I love Easter eggs like that, and I think it's a way to bring people into your world with people dropping so much. So I think celebrityism will always kind of be there in a way, but it's also dying. There's not a ton of new celebrity, there's very few. It's like fish swimming upstream. Like less and less are getting up to the top there, but
right. There's more and more fish, right? Because everybody's got their 15 minutes of freight, but not that many are making it up to like household name type status.
Exactly. Everyone's getting their 15 minutes of fame. But if you can build a cult following, if you have 1,000 followers and they're willing to pay $100, you know what I mean? Or you keep doing the math on that, it makes sense. So you just really have to build that world for them to be a part of, and give them a reason. Why would they want to be a part of your world? For me, I think I love this culture. I'm a fan first and foremost. And I think when I put out content, when I do conversations like this, I think people can see that and they feel that and they can relate to that. I'm not trying to be a top celebrity. I'm not in this for the fame. I'm not in this for the money. I would love to build a legacy, like in the vein of say Jay Dilla. But I do this because I love it, and I think that's what really comes through. I like marketing, and a lot of artists don't like doing the content. They don't like doing the business, but I really try and find the art in doing that stuff too. And while it can be tedious, I try and like look at it as like, oh, okay, well, if I do this and this, and then it's like solve it. It's like the video game mentality. Like, okay, like,
That's a good way to, you gamify it.
Exactly.
It's a quest.
Exactly.
It's
Side quests and side quests. But definitely,
Yeah, it's a talent also. If you take it back to the music, right? There's some producers that got killer drums. The drums are insane, or they find the most insane samples, right? And there's like a certain flavor, and it's like, where do you even find that, right? And or rappers that can freestyle, and they go up on the stage, and people are handing them things, and they're like rapping about your shoes and your hat and what you're wearing. Or the person whose song is just so amazing that like you could drop out the music and then they just hit like 8 bars and like everybody's like, wow, the way he puts words together. It's not even complex. It's the simplest words, but it's touching an emotion. All these things are different talents within the same thing. And I think that doing the business of music whether it's marketing, promotions, getting the word out, knowing the timing, all that stuff. One of the things that you guys did in the build up, you had you got the Breaking Bad, right? So you already
Yeah.
have like another project with Dante, right? Which is super dope. Maybe you could talk to us about that visual, because that visual like is beyond just like we did like an Instagram reel. And you got
Yeah.
a lot going on. Did you put that together? Who put it together? Because it's spectacular.
I mean, the song itself put it together, but you know, I think I talked to Dante and was like, "This is what we got to do." That was the first single, and the one thing is like music videos are I love music videos that come from that era, but
Yeah,
we're all looking up to these label artists, and they have label budgets, and they can be inefficient with their money.
yeah,
I've spent money on music videos. I've made music videos. You know, I spent money on animations, and they're on YouTube, and it's like so, right? And you don't see a lot of return on that. So with content, you know, content rules everything around me, cream, right? It's literally
oh, that's
it, right?
good.
But
Yeah, that's a
content,
whole shirt.
right?
That is a
It's
shirt.
trademark. um,
Shout out
but
the
no, for
movement,
real.
but shout out Imperative. You heard it here first. Content rules
um,
everything around me.
yeah, it's just like it's easier. You can do it on, you can do a lot of it on your phone if you can get a better camera, but there's some psychological stuff to it as well,
Yeah,
that I'm trying to learn. Like I'm still a student of that game, and
yeah,
I watch people that do it very well. I work a 9 to 5 job, so I do what I can in that. I'm 9 to 5. I'm at my job. 5 to 9, I'm doing music, right? So I
yeah.
do what I can, but with the content, it's like you can spend an entire day and you can have content that will spread out for the entire year almost. And if you do that, like let's say every Saturday you film content, you got content for years that you can just separate and spread out, and it's always going to be new and it's always going to be fresh for your audience. So with Soliloquy of a Sociopath and chemistry class, I you know, linked up with, I was just like, Dante, this is what we got to do. He's like, like I said, he's just like, all right, I'll follow your lead. So I went down to Toronto with my guy here, director John Otis Milne. It's cool working with this videographer because he actually filmed me before hip hop. I was a competitive snowboarder, and so
Right,
I
right.
I lived in London around 2006, and I was out on the streets on my snowboard. I was sliding down rails and things. He was one of the first filmers back then, and then I
Wow.
moved to Vancouver. We hadn't had touch, like didn't have, we weren't in contact for like that many years. I get moved back to Ontario in 2019, and then back to London in 2021. And I was like, "Yo, man, are you still here?" He's like, "Yeah." "You still filming?" "Yeah." I was like, "I'm doing these, you know, beat breakdowns. You want to film that?" And then that reignited the, you know, that, and then so I brought him down. I had to borrow a coffee table from my buddy to match the scene from Breaking Bad. We ordered the suits online.
Yeah, because
It
everything
was,
is like it's perfectly curated to the set. It actually looks like Breaking Bad.
and that was just filmed at, like up top of Dante's apartment. There's like this like rec room that anyone, it's got a pool table, and we went up there and we are like, "Yo, this is perfect." So we just set it all up there,
Did
and we
people
just
walk
did.
in while you guys were like in your suits?
No, thankfully not. But yeah, it was just, that was like a couple hours of filming, and there's still clips we haven't done. Like we did some talking, and then so there's some interview questions that we break up. But um, I just, the scene didn't seem that hard to make, so we were able to find the props to make it look fairly legit. The masks were a little like rubber and floppy. I wish we had better masks, but like you live and learn, right? Trial and error.
Well, as a
But
consumer, it just looks incredible. Like as a consumer, I'm not seeing whatever because you held the mask. You might
right.
see, you know what I'm saying? For me, I'm just like these guys went out. I'm like, how did they do this? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It
and
looks
then
completely like legit.
that same night we also filmed the other scenes, so there's some other content, and it's like Dante kind of like this, but it's like black and white, and then there's just one light. So the video guy was up there, and we didn't really plan for this, so he's like, we had to rap with a power cord on a broomstick, and he's like going like this with the light, and then I was like filming it, but we got the shot, we got a ton of content, it worked out great. And then shout out to John, he did the editing as well. But if you look at the intricate editing, the lyrics are actually reflecting on the metal
Yeah, on the little
bowl,
bowl. It's so
and then
dope.
everything is timed with the lyrics. Like he killed, and you know, even that, some of those did fairly well, but like not as well as I think they should have.
Yeah.
Now, some influencers I see, they're like 30 days, 60 days, just repost it. Most of your audience will have forgot, and any new audience, it will be fresh for them. So that's a key for anyone. Like 30, 60 days, if you post it, you've already made it. Just save it in a folder and repost it.
Yeah. Since we're on that topic, any software or apps that you're using, you're really in the content game, or you take an interest in the content game in a sense, almost as much as your beat production. You know what I mean? So it's like fascinating to me to talk with you about it, because anything that you're willing to share, because there's 100 apps. There's 100, there's 100 different things and tools that can be used. If there's anything that you're using that works for you that you can share with us, that like, these are my go-to.
For sure. I mean, with rap career growth and that, I don't like to gatekeep. I'll give, for the most part, information. The only stuff I won't really give is if I had to dig to get that information, and now you're just asking me for that information without like any sort of return. But information like this, I'm happy to share. I will say I have a bit of a leg up on people in the sense that I actually, before music, I have a diploma in multimedia design. I went to school for video and graphic design work. So that's, music actually came second, and I was self-taught on the music, but it kind of built this full 360 of skills that all work together and allow me to be, I can be self-sufficient. Now, the thing is I like art, so I do pay other graphic designers. I'm a graphic designer, but I will pay other graphic designers if it's necessary. I will pay videographers because I can't necessarily be filming myself and in the shot at the same time. So, and everyone has a unique style, and I like to appreciate that. But in terms of apps, I do come from Adobe Creative Suite. So I use Photoshop, I use Illustrator, I use InDesign, I use After Effects, and I use Adobe Premiere. Those are kind of the main apps there. There is some free versions of that. I think a lot of people are making a lot of great content on CapCut. I think there's probably a free and a paid version of that these days. Canva, I'm a bit of I can be a bit of a snob at the same time. Canva's out there. It's free.
A Photoshop snob?
I mean, a little bit, but at the same time is like, if it's out there, if that's what's holding you back and you have the opportunity to use an app like Canva and it's free, do it. You know what I mean? And that's like leading into some of the AI talk too, is like, I'm seeing some AI content right now. And even myself, as coming from videography and being a designer and an artist, I'm like, this shit looks dope. And the way that they're prompt, now I don't want to like, I want to put value on creators. I was on the phone with a new videographer talking about doing a video for a different project. He has a unique style, and I'm willing to pay for that. But at the same time, it's like, if I'm putting beats on YouTube, right, I always want to put visual. But let's say you have this idea that, how are you, like, I think Action Bronson just posted, it started with an AI of his, what is it? Is it frogs with ice cream or something like that? Something weird like that. But it's a frog and it's just holding ice cream. And people were like, this is AI slop. And they were like, and he's like, yo, chill. The actual album cover I painted. He's like, but I can't do all of my vision, I can't do it. But AI allowed me to get my vision out. So I feel like there is some beneficial uses of AI. And say, as a creator, if I can create, I've got a song about to come out called The Wolves, and then that's with Shea Uno, Ayo Biggs, DJ Distracted, and then Sazy. But like
that's a heavy song right there. You got Shea Uno and Ayo Biggs.
Oh yeah,
that's dope.
They're running their crew members only, which there's been talk of me potentially doing some production for them in a project, but nothing further than that yet. But so that's a hearsay at this point. But like, let's say the wolves gives you some imagery right off. Like, I did some quick search on stock footage of wolves growling.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but I can picture like a black and a gray and a white wolf just like barking and growling. Well, if I can't go out in the woods and film that, I'll die.
Yeah.
But if I can put that into AI and it costs me, X, and it's like a 30-second clip, and I add some effects to it to make it look grainy, is that acceptable? In my opinion, I think something like that's accessible or acceptable. But if you're doing everything on AI, well, you're going to be rated differently. Does it mean your art is any less? I don't necessarily think so, because you are having to come up with some ideas, right?
Yeah.
You are having to, but if you're like just straight jacking stuff and putting in AI and taking it that way, yeah, I've got some issues with that. In my mind, we're evolving. Use any tool available to you, and if it's cheaper for you to get your art out there, like look, Russ, who's a massive independent artist right now, arguably in hip hop, the largest independent artist.
Yeah.
You know, all of his art still to this day is like a single color with like just a like a illustration in the middle, right? And that's efficient and it looks good. But you got to use every tool available to you. Like I'm writing a grant right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm using some AI help. Now I'm not just like print, okay, submit. I'm going through and it's helping me structure things. I'm like, you know, revising it. But I wouldn't be able to get as much output as I'm having right now without AI. So that's another tool. You know, ChatGPT does help me, but you have to be careful. You have to use it as a tool, as a starting point. Don't just be like, okay, print, and then just put it.
Yeah. One of the things that, you know, this is a conversation that's active, right? This is happening right now in human history and in whatever sector you're in, right? So we're in hip hop, we're in music production, and in this area, it's hitting us. If you're in, you know, graphic design, and that area, it's impacting the whole world. But what it makes me think about in the music space and the hip hop space is that once upon a time, people would lose their mind if you sampled, you know, if you sampled. First of all, sampling was like, oh my gosh, they're stealing, you know, the classic music, right? But, you know, there was obviously producers that would chop everything up and you could, you know, it was a completely new thing. But then there's other people that would come and just like sample the Police, right? And just like now here, you know, we're gonna loop, you know, Roxanne, right? Or we're gonna loop Led Zeppelin, you know, Black Dog, right? And it's just like da-na-na, da-na-na, and it's just, you know, but it's still dope because that's why that song was famous. But it felt even in hip hop that there was like an unspoken set of rules, right? You know, you don't sample snitch. You're digging for unheard things or very unknown things. And if you went and you sampled hits, it felt kind of like cheating, right? All this type of unspoken legal code, right? An unspoken rule set that existed in hip hop. I think something like that's going to happen in AI, where it's like you don't want everything straight out of AI.
I think it already is, and it's like people, if people are going to recognize, like there's a lot of pushback on, you know, people see one thing and then they like quickly jump on like those cartoon album covers. People are done with that because they've seen it. It was maybe okay, cool, and like AI does it fairly well, but now you have everyone and their mother and their brother and their sister printing those. It's like everyone has seen it. But the AI, what I think is going to happen is there's going to be this overhaul, and AI is one. And AI, we're talking about samples. AI sample detection is going to push hip hop off of these platforms. Spotify is connected with Who Sampled, which is a sample.
They bought it.
Database.
They went and purchased Who Sampled.
So if people don't see the connection,
got it all.
Now
they have all the data. It's just a matter of time for them to get it integrated.
And then they're just going to pull your song, or they're going to hit you with a cease and desist, or they're going to hit you with a lawsuit. All of it, and then all the AI music is going to be on. Like I've read things that Spotify has basically primed itself to be a platform that at some point will essentially just become all AI music. I think there's places in Japan and China that are now 80% AI music, which is scary to think.
Wow.
But all this stuff,
so they just pay themselves.
But what it's going to do, the platform is essentially just a music generator, like and they don't have to pay an artist. Exactly. And what it's going to do is it's going to push hip hop, and this is going to be the beautiful part. Sometimes you got to destroy everything to bring it back up, right? So it's going to push people off these platforms, and then it's going to go back to the mixtape era. Yo, check out my CD. Yo, check out my USB stick, right? It's going to be that hand-to-hand, that mouth-to-mouth.
Or go to somebody's website. Like what you're currently doing. You're basically, you're like 3 years in the future.
I appreciate that. I try to be. I'm like John Connor out here. um, but
Because I'm listening to you, and I haven't thought of a lot of these ideas. I haven't heard them, but
yeah,
you're right. If they become, like 80%, like Netflix, they're trying to do that, right? They're making all their own stuff, and you just get a little bit of things, right? So if
yeah,
they got all their own stuff except for certain hit records that they want to get, then they're paying themselves, and they push all of the stuff that's sampled out.
yeah.
We're still going to consume it. Where do we get it from?
Yeah, and then it's also going to put the pressure back on live shows with so much fake shit online, with people being unable to tell what's real and what's not. It's going to force people to go to a live show. Oh, you're an artist. I want to know you're real, and I want to see that you can perform. So
Yeah.
it comes back again what we were talking about earlier: is artists, you got to step it up. You got to find what, like, set yourself apart. Is it lights? Is it having a live DJ? Is it having a guitar? Is it having a jar? Is it having all of these elements? Whatever it might be. But all of this real stuff, art, live performance, and real art and craft, and caring about it is going to come back.
That's dope. That's dope.
It's never left. Let's be clear about that. It's never left. You want to look for it. You got artists like Squat Dead Face, Craig Dyer, I'm putting myself on the spot. Isaac Paleo. I'm looking around my apartment. Sept. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these different artists, and Dave Proch. No, you can't see it in the frame there. All of those artists are creating real art, and they're fairly reasonable price. And if you work with them, you can get a dope piece of art that is custom, tailor-made to your project, to your song. And then most of them have been very reasonable. Squat Dead Face, he allowed me to print prints like West Side Gun does. And so I got it printed on museum grade paper, and I sold that. And
Wow.
Sepp did the same. Sepp said I was actually, so this is crazy. Sepp said I was the only artist in like outside of West Side Gun that he just let do that.
Wow.
And so I was very kind of humbled by that. Like, West Side I got Fly Gun prints over there, but him and Wes got obviously a different deal. But he said most people, he never says that, but he allowed me to, because when I talked to him, I explained my vision and what I'm trying to do, and similar to when I'm talking to you, it's like you're like, oh, okay, it's not just a song, it's not just an album. There's something like larger.
Yeah.
There's the bigger picture.
Yeah, and you want
Picture.
people to squeeze the juice out of something, right? So if he's
Exactly.
gonna give you a print, you know what I'm saying? Like, get everything you can get out of that print, so that part of my creativity is not just wasted in a one off. Not that that's not
100%.
that that's doesn't have value, but you want to get all of the value out of it.
And I mean, we're artist to artist, we're on your platform. There's gonna be a lot of artists here. There's gonna be a lot of listeners, but it comes down to value too. Is like, I'm a fan. I collect all this stuff. You can see, like, I obviously invest in art and different things like that. But it comes down to dollars. Like, if I'm making a song, like, I've had one song, and which is cost close to $10,000 in itself.
Wow.
From the features. This is a business. Hip hop is a business. You think like Def Jam isn't paying artists on Universal for their feature? It's a business, and even at an independent underground level, if you want an artist and you think it can boost your business, you got to pay for that. It's a bit, or maybe it's a trade off. Maybe, okay, I'll give you a verse.
Yeah,
I'll give you a beat.
a lot of barter.
Yeah, there's a lot of barter, but then sometimes it's money. If the barter is money, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And I respect everyone's business, and I'll assess it. Is this worth it for what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
But then you got your mix, you got your master, you got your artwork. If you're going to do promo videos, songs can add up there. And I don't think that the audience necessarily always sees that behind. That's like, in the figurative terms, the blood, sweat, and tears. It's your money. The blood, sweat, and tears is the money.
It's your bank account like going down.
Exactly. You're bleeding from the paper cuts. You're sweating because it's all going, and you're crying because it's gone. Right.
And then it's going to be way more than you thought. You thought you had budgeted this, add 100% more.
But if you spent all your money, that means you can't create anymore. And if people like your music, and you don't have funding to continue on, well, they're not going to get your art anymore. So there's got to be a cycle. And one book I read about, it was like this metaphor of a cherry tree and how a cherry tree is sustainable. Is the tree grows the cherries drop, they fall, but then they actually are recycled and reused by like composting into the tree for nutrients. And artists have to kind of use that sort of metaphor as an, you know, for their career. Like if you're dropping your music is the cherry, well, how's that going to come back into your own ecosystem? You really got to put that out there and figure that out. But if you spend all your money, you're going to burn out. You're like, man, I'm just doing this. I'm dropping all this money. I'm done. I've seen it happen. You know, the first rapper I was working with, so talented and still to this day. But he, you know, he was about to have a kid. And it's like, hey, what am I going to do? What's making me money or music, which is costing me money?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the trade-off. And I hope audiences understand that, you know, while this is a labor of love and I love doing it, it does cost and I have to recoup my costs. So doing things like Soliloquy of a Sociopath and the way we release that is, you know, it's not a get rich quick scheme by any means. It's a way to put it back into the music and keep creating. You know, right now, that project is released in the sense that we're talking about. I've got a project with G4 Jag titled Alive, which is done and ready. Working on a project with Young Reese Dude and Action Figure. I've got a project with Pretty Bully. I'm trying to do my own project.
It's like a who's who in hip hop right here. You're like G4 Jag, Action Figure, Pretty Bully. It's like you're going through like
Avengers Assemble. But yeah, I mean, to continue on with all that art and trying to keep up with everyone that's like, you know, you look at guys like Crime Apple, you look at some of these dudes are dropping every single month, but they're dropping on streaming. But Crime Apple's a tier above. Like when they say there's levels to this shit, there's literally levels to this shit. But if I try and put the output that someone like Crime Apple is doing, who's a level above me, I'm gonna burn out. So I have to be efficient, I have to be smart, and I have to strategize. And that's Soliloquy of a Sociopath when looking at my career, will kind of be a bit of a TSN turning point, if you will, is when things change and taking a different approach and strategy towards my releases and being more intentional about it.
That's really, really dope. I remember a time when there was a lot of importance put on each artist having their own website. And something happened along the way with social media where the link tree became important, right? So you had like, you know, you got your music streaming over here and, you know, you can upload whatever you want on SoundCloud. And then you got your Instagram and your YouTube and your socials, and you don't need a website. But as streaming becomes more, you know, where they don't pay you at all. So they're almost like an extension of social media in a sense, right? They're like, it's where you put your music. This is where you put your pictures, this is where you put your videos, and this is where you put your music because they don't pay you, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at when people put their logos, they'll have Instagram, Facebook, Linktree, and then they'll have their Spotify logo.
Exactly,
right there,
it's just
right?
like a social media now.
It's a social media,
right? So when it became that, and then artists want to create that scarcity, create that value, right? The website becomes important again. So here we are. You can get Soliloquy of a Sociopath at imperative.com. I want to ask you about another album. I saw the homie Jay Robertson here. I interviewed him a minute ago, and when I interviewed him, we talked about Shamrocks Machine Guns. What an incredible album. If you could give us a little bit of a backstory on that, that's been a very successful project for both of you. But you know, we got you here today as a producer. What was it like working with him? Talk to us about the dopeness of that project.
Definitely. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna bring this back. We talked about this, but it's been a couple years now. But we've still managed to keep this project relevant, and that was part of the release strategy. Which that one was like kind of a trial and error, and it's like, we released this album, but let's release a deluxe. Okay, now it's on physicals. Let's put a separate song on there. And it's just been, very strategical in the moment. But when Jay first approached me, he was earlier in his career, and he was dope in his own right. He had actually rapped over one of my instrumentals in a contest that an Ontario rapper had put out, and that's where I first heard him, and it was dope. But as we talked about a business, and at that time I was like, okay, like you're coming up, this is what I charge. And he came back and he killed it. And from there, so he bought one beat and he's like, this is what I did with it, and now I'm gonna get this feature on it. And he got Asun Eastwood on it, and I was just like,
not a bad feature, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd worked
No.
Sorry, was getting a phone call there. My
No
mom's
problem. No
going on a
problem. I can hear you
vacation,
good.
so she's on the way to the airport. She's trying to give me a call. So you know, it was like this when Jay sent over the song. I was like, I could see and I could sense that he had sort of the same intention and vision that I had, and put that into his music. And I said to him, I was like, yo, this was dope. Let's do a full project and we'll split it. And it became kind of like the Alchemist and Currency. Like when they talk about that, it was a 50-50 business plan. And we went from there and we crafted a dope project. So I would start sending him songs. I think for the first single, which was Guillotine featuring Asun, Jay was like, I was like, well, what do you want? Like, what's the vibe? What do you think? He's like, I'm thinking something like Conway's Piano Love. And so, you know, I knew the joint, but I quickly listened to it. Okay, it's got a key element of piano and like some grimy drums. So I'm very efficient with my organization of samples as well. I have a iTunes playlist, and it's like guitar samples, piano samples, flute samples, tubular bells samples, like down to the nitty gritty. And if I'm listening, if I'm working on some of the business stuff, I'm always multitasking, but I'll listen to samples. Okay, this has a piano sample, and then I rate it. There's a stars rating on iTunes. So I do a 1 star if it's like bullshit. 2 is like I could milk something out of it. 3, don't ask me why, is drums. 4, it's like, yeah, this is pretty good. 5, it's like, yo, this is dope as hell.
This is a future track.
And then I dragged them into the folders. So when Jay said he wanted something like Piano Love, I just went into my piano folder, hit shuffle, and I think it was like 10 minutes later, I was on Instagram Live, and I was like, yo, Jay, this is for you. And I just was like, he's like, yo. And then,
that's dope.
And then sent it off to him and made that dope single. And then we just continued on with the album. Yeah, I mean, he's Irish Canadian, so we leaned heavy into that. You know, I would like to work is like, you know, I know I'm a producer. I try and be a face, hence in a way, hence why I'm on a platform like this. But when you're building an album, it's like, you know, it's like wrestling. You know, you have your face and your heel, right? And the producer in a way is the heel. Your job is to make the face look good, right?
Yeah.
So Shamrocks and Machine Guns, that plays into his Irish heritage, Irish Canadian heritage, and then we built on there, and that was a very collaborative process as well. But you know, Jay and I will definitely have more music to come. We, you know, both just doing our thing, and you know, in releasing that, though, his intensity in terms of release, you know, for mail outs, you know, finding people's emails and just working. He's a full-time nurse, and so he works 12-hour shifts, and then I think he's got like 50 kids or something like that. I don't know. He's got a militia of kids, and somehow he still finds the time to do music. So shout out to Jay Roberts.
That's really, really dope. And it's really important to find people that have that same passion for the business side of the, you know, like everybody wants to rap or make beats, right? The music video or the content. But the part that's like, you know, finding emails, reaching out to people, sending packages, that's incredibly important. And to find somebody, you know, you've got that. You in most groups, right? You'd be the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to have somebody else that's also the guy that's doing that, you know, doubles or the sum of the parts is even more. You know, it's like
And
there's
it's
a
even harder
multiplying
finding someone
effect.
that has that drive, and with talent. You know, the saying goes, and it's a cliche, but hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard, right? And
That's
it's
good.
100% that. You can, talent is something you can grow and you can build on. Like if you have like a little bit and you're good, like you can learn and progress and get better. And if you're willing to take input and constructive criticism and build, hard work, that's something I've noticed. It's like you either got it or you don't.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Shamrocks and Machine Guns is such a dope title that it allows itself to have a two, right? And there's space in the power of that you know, the words, the visual power of the words that you could put a two on that,
You
right?
can visualize it, right? It's like the
Right, I
two
can
eyes, though. It's
visualize
got to be
it.
Shamrocks and Machine Guns, eye,
Right, two
right?
machine guns, two machine
Okay,
guns.
yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And the Celtics are always killing it. They're always
Yeah.
a player, right? So it's you know, so that's really
There's,
dope.
I mean, obviously with like a lot of, you know, old gangster movies and things, like there's a lot of stuff that you can sample. There's a lot of stuff you can pull from. And so, yeah, I know we were talking, trying to find some features from Ireland for some, like a certain track that we had to kind of keep it going. It's obviously a little tough, right? It's like, but you got to network with the right people, and yeah, we're definitely gonna continue.
Yeah. There's you mentioned in talking about Jay Roberts, Asun Eastwood, you've done some other work with him. Um what can you tell us about that? He's such a special artist, right? An incredible voice, an incredible pen, a
Yeah.
really big artist in hip hop, but definitely out of Canada. You know what I'm saying? As a Canadian producer working with that Canadian talent, what can you share with us about, things that you may have going on with him?
The Chosen One. We actually have an album, and I was just thinking, I was like, damn, I didn't actually mention that. We've had an album in the works for a bit. There's still no release date on it. We both, I actually talked to Ace on the phone just on the weekend there. We're both in the mindset it's like when it's the right time, right? And we both have things going on. We both know we can see what each other is working on. The project we have, it's classic. You know what I mean? Like, and not to throw that word around there, but when you hear it, you're like, oh, okay. Some of the songs are 4 or 5 years old now, and
Yeah.
you hear it, and it's like, it still
Timeless.
goes.
Yeah.
But we're also being intentional. I'm submitting a grant next week for this project. So it was originally intended to be a full length album. If we get the grant for business strategy, it will have to be an EP, which will then change the strategy. We'll break the album up into 2 different EPs. But that's the whole thing with it. Like, you got to be ready to change. You got to be ready to pivot. For us, I know he's doing some other music. I'm not going to speak on his behalf on what he's got going on, but we have a very good working relationship. He was one artist that I really started doing the whole performance content with. We did a day in Toronto. We shot for Bozy Flex. We did like 3 or 4 different scenes, and we came up with content that we still have to this day. And yeah, he's such a talented artist and a genuine person. He's very busy. He recently he didn't have a child, but him and his wife had a child together. And so obviously that changes things and the dynamic. So he's very busy. So I'm always grateful when we get time to talk on the phone and chop it up. I know he's got some other things in the works. And I have big plans for our music, and so does he. It just has to be the right time. That's really all it comes down to. It's got to be the right time.
That's dope. That's dope. I want to make sure that, for people who they know you, we've spent a lot of time talking about business and AI and the current project, Soliloquy of a Sociopath. And you've been very generous with all of the information that you've shared. But I want to make sure that we give some time to talk about the podcast that you have,
Yeah.
right? Where people can find it, how often you do it. Um, just to make sure that anybody who sees this and they want more information, they want more of you, they know where to go.
Yeah. So it all started with a Facebook group, which is just called Rap Career Growth. We didn't try and sugarcoat it. It's just exactly what it is. And it's Kyle Kraft and I are running that. I mean, anyone can post information. It just ends up being me posting most of the information. I'll come across, and I started this with a group I have called the Producer Connect, and it started there. And if I come across a dope video that has information, I'm like, well, this is dope. I also want somewhere to store it, and I also want other people to see it. I think gatekeeping silly. There's enough out there for all of us, for all of us to eat and all of us to be successful.
Yeah.
So it started with the Facebook group, and then it turned into a podcast. Kyle Kraft on his website, craftyentertainment.com. This guy is a vault of information. And if you go to his website, he has articles. The problem is we're in this TikTok era, we're in this Reel era, we're in this YouTube Shorts era.
Yeah.
People don't want to read, right? So we're like, let's take the articles you have and turn it into a podcast form. We don't have a standard cycle at the moment. We're both busy individuals. He's working with large name artists. I'm only going to mention one because, again, I don't want to, blow up his spot or his artist spot. But, he's big and known for his work with Swollen Members and Prevail out of Vancouver, BC. And so he does a lot. He's busy. Like, that's his livelihood, is music business, right? So the podcast, we would love to have it out more. We have podcasts in the can with Shad, who Juno Award winner, Polaris Prize winner, also known for his, he's on Netflix with his documentaries on hip hop. We have interview with Havaya the Mighty. We've got, I think, Baby No Money got released, but we have a bunch of episodes in the can. The hardest thing is editing them, and I'm sure you know this yourself, but Kyle and I both can use our transition words like and generously,
Yeah.
but it doesn't always work great in an informational podcast. So that editing does fall on me, and editing 45 minutes of ums and ahs is a little tedious.
Yeah.
But I wish I had more time. We both are just two guys that have full-time jobs and other things. So I would love to be able to do it more. There's no set thing, but it's definitely great information out there. We have episodes, how not to get scammed. If you're in Canada, how to support or submit to the Junos, which Junos is kind of Canadian Grammys. And then on those, we also talk about awards in general and how they can support your career. I did have, I won Producer of the Year here in Ontario.
That's the pick that we used for the cover of the flyer.
Really someone like pick. Suge Knight. I'm like, I mean, I prefer Yeezy at the award ceremony, but I'll take it.
Take Suge Knight, man. Take Suge Knight.
Oh, I'll take it, I guess. But that award, it's London, Ontario. It is the only city-based awards in Canada, I believe, and it is regional now. They opened it up to Southwestern Ontario. So it goes, for City London Music Awards, and then the Junos, obviously, and then the Grammys are up here. But it still means something. That was the first award I'd won probably, and I'd been doing music and hip hop for 10 plus years. I didn't necessarily think I would ever win an award, but I leveraged it. And even just the nomination to me just felt like a big deal. And I was like, yo, I'm just going to buy this red suit. I'm going to do a photo shoot. I hired a video. I didn't know I was going to win. I really didn't. And I had it. I was like, okay, if I don't win, I'll be like, yo, I didn't win, but shout out to everyone that supported. Shout out to the winner. But then I won. And then it turned into this dope moment. And then, when I do my EPK, when I do my resume, my music CV, it always starts Imperative, award-winning hip-hop producer from Canada. And it just adds a little to your name,
Absolutely.
Right? And it allows for some extra opportunities. So when I am applying for grants and other opportunities, when I send in to platforms like yourself, if I'm just like, yo, what up? I'm Imperative. Interview me. You're like, well, why? Like we're saying, it's kind of almost a theme. It's like, you got to do something better. You got to be better than the next person to get that. And so I leveraged the nomination. I leveraged the win. So we have podcasts that talk about how you as an artist can do the same. Not everyone's about awards. I am now, so a couple of years after winning that award, I am a co-chair on the board of directors of the Forest City London Music Awards now. I'm also sit on the music advisory committee for the Junos. And that to me is my way of contributing to the culture and shaping the culture. Because a lot of people will get upset, like, why did this person win? Why did this person win? This person should have been there. Or, and so it's one thing to complain, but for me, being a part of it, now I can see how it works and how it actually goes on. And then I can advise others, being like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but you're missing the point on how it actually works.
Good.
And this is how it works, right? And so that's my way of being able to be a part of it and influence it and make change for the better. And no thing's ever going to be perfect, like especially awards. Like it's never going to be perfect. But people forget all those things are really just to put recognition and shine on the culture as a whole. It doesn't matter who's holding the award. It's celebrate the culture and the reason why they're there.
It's good. It's good. For the producers out there, if you could share with us what your current setup, your current workflow looks like. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, how does he get the sound? What is he, is it a DAW? Is it hardware? What can you share with the producers out there?
Okay. I'm a good producer, and my production it's a mix of I can beat make, and I'm a good beat maker. I'm not gonna say I'm the best beat maker. I'm efficient and I have a good ear, and it's because I am a student of this. But I rely on others. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and I know how I work. I can be ADHD in a way where I want to hear the end product, but I'm not necessarily willing to put the time in tweaking a snare for an hour to get that. So I work with people like Jamie Cuse out of North Vancouver, Nova Studios, or Carvo down in Atlanta. Those are my two main engineers. And I do rely on them heavy. I send them a reference, getting it as close to where I want it. And I think part of that actually works to my advantage is, I've worked with producers and beat makers who are classically trained. And so they're bound by the rules that they were taught. Me coming in and just learning on my own, I'm not bound by those same rules of classical training. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like I was chopping a sample with someone here, and I've been sampling for almost 2 decades. And he's like, oh, you got to go back a little bit and you got to get it on the transit. I'm like, yo, I've been doing this. I know, you know what I mean? And like, I'm doing all right. But he was like, and it's just, it made me think though, it's like those small things hold them back because they're constantly criticizing and trying to get it to a level of perfect. But perfect, I would put it this way. If you go out and you see the most perfect woman, she's perfect, but it's just like, you see a woman that has a slight flaw, a small like mole or a beauty mark, or maybe slightly bushier eyebrow. You know what? You get what I'm saying? That makes her stand out. And sometimes it's the flaws that actually make it perfect rather than the actual perfection itself. So back to your original question, rather than going on a tangent, I'm still working on a machine.
Back from bushy eyebrows.
Yeah. I mean, I got those myself. Thanks to shout out my grandfather. But I'm on a machine MK1. I'm still. It was that's the first. I got an MPC 1000 when I first started, but the pads were broken, and I really wanted an MPC, for the heritage, the culture, and I wanted to learn that way. But the pads didn't work. Now it just so happened Native Instruments released Machine essentially like the first year I was making beats. It was meant to be.
Wow.
I was a Mac guy. I knew computers. So having a beat machine that worked on a computer, it just made sense. I think I'm on my 4th or 5th MK1 because eventually they do die, and I keep buying them. I keep buying 2013 iMacs just so I can run it.
Does the 2013, is that the one that runs it?
Yeah, after 2013, it won't let you run it. So I literally have a stack of 2013 iMacs in my bedroom where it's like, oh, this one's done, this one's fried, and I transfer everything over and I start it. Now we're in 2026, so like this is like 13 years out. I'm getting close to the point where I'm gonna have to upgrade everything. I had to upgrade my interface. I'm gonna have to upgrade everything. I'm still using KRK Rockets, which were hand-me-downs from my younger brother. My younger brother was actually the one who went to audio school, and then now he has nothing to do with audio. Shout out my brother. He's very successful in what he does, but he has no. It's funny. We switch thoughts. It's like, But that's really that's it. I keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean? I always say this is like, if you're a novelist and you write, your profession is writing, you can have an iMac, to the balls to the wall iMac, but is that going to make your writing any better than the guy that's still using a typewriter?
That's right.
It all comes down to how you use what you have. I've heard artists that record in Audacity. I do not advise this, but I've seen artists recording in Audacity, and their verses, they're artists you probably interviewed, and you wouldn't know. But I've seen the Audacity files.
Oh, for sure. The amount of producers using Fruity Loops and making bangers is high. And there's nothing wrong with that.
FL Studio now is one I would recommend. FL Studio. FL Studio now, when it was Fruity Loops, it was like, okay, this is kind of like a kid. But now FL Studio is very powerful. I would recommend it to anyone. I used it for a bit, making more composed. There was a period where I was going back and forth between like making some trap stuff. I'm not just like a boom bap snob where that's all I listen to, that's all I make. I like experimenting. But for that composed start to finish, it's very powerful.
Wow, that's dope. you shared with us the rollout of the current project that you're pushing, Soliloquy of a Sociopath. Um, Very innovative approach. It's available at imperative.com. You also shared with us some upcoming things that you got going on. Project with J4Jag, something in the tuck with Asun Eastwood. We talked about the background of Shamrocks and Machine Guns, and maybe, you know what I'm saying, like a part two. You shared with us some insight on AI and a lot of business savvy. Would love to have you back at some point in time and continue picking your brain. You're kind of moving with this at the velocity or even a little bit ahead of what's happening in the culture and in technology. It's really been an honor to build with you, bro.
It's been an honor being on your platform, man. You're killing it as well, like I said at the start, and I'm very appreciative. I would love to come back at some point. I mean, as you just listed, I've got enough projects. At some point, I'll be hitting you up. Yo,
Yeah,
it's time. I got a new project.
absolutely, my brother. Hit me up when that moment comes. And
Definitely.
much success on everything you got going on, but especially the one that you and Dante got going on right now. Salute to you.
You had a chance to listen to it?
I have not. I just heard the little pieces.
Oh, really? I thought I sent it to you. That's my bad. I'm going to send it to you, and you can listen to it. You're going to be one of the few. No one else. Don't ask him. If you ask him, he's going to tell me, and then I'm going to message you and make
There
you
you
go
go.
buy it. I'll send it to you, though, because I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, my brother. Salute.
All right. Salute to Dante as well. I don't think I shouted out Dante enough on this.
Shout out
to
to Dante, and I
We
want to make sure that we capture this because you're such a gentleman. When we organized this, you asked me, "Yo, should we bring Dante on?" But you have such a dope career, and Dante has such a dope career that I know that my style is such that I'm going to want to talk about the project, give it its space, and then talk about Imperative. And I can keep talking to you. I know about your snowboarding career. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about the instrumental issues 1 through 5, the cover art. There's tons to talk with you about, but this is about the right length right now. So we'll save, some of that for another time, and we'll save
Definitely.
Dante and run back on, Soliloquy of a Sociopath and also his career at the
I don't
right
know. I don't
moment.
know if he knows this. So I'm gonna just say this here is like when I first moved back to Ontario, it was like I really kind of did this like FBI murder style, like pictures and yarn of who's who in the
Like an
scene and
actual
connect.
board. Like an
Yeah, I
actual
didn't
board.
actually do it, but it was in my head. It was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my head. And Dante was an early artist I saw, and all the records and vinyl record he came out with, I
Yeah.
think through a label called Coca Reef at the time. And I was like, yo, this guy's doing it,
Yeah.
and he's doing it well. So shout out and salute to Dante. Everything works out the way it's supposed to. And,
Yeah.
we had chance encounters at some shows in Toronto, which led to this. So we did start something new lightly. So there's nothing to get anticipated about. But we're working on more music. There will definitely be more music to come.
That's really dope. My brother, an honor to build with you.
Hey, salute, much love.
Salute.
It's imperative. Listen to the kid.
There it is. Peace, my bro.
Peace.